Huck 'em, chuck 'em
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. I got Chad Bunt,
That's
Justin
me.
Govern. What's going on, guys?
Excited for another episode. Previewing the NFC East today.
Huck 'em, chuck 'em
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Old school. All right, Chad, get us started, bro.
We're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys this year. The Dallas Cowboys. The injured plague that is Dallas. Dak Prescott has done some things. Yeah, he's not that bad of a quarterback, but the man can't stay healthy, and that whole team's weight is on his shoulders. I just don't think they're going to do it this year, and I would love to see them do better next year. Justin?
Well, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are. Yeah, we can go on about Dak's shortcomings, but I think they're going to finally unleash Tony Pollard this year. It feels like they've been holding him back, wasting carries on a washed-up Zeke. The offensive line should be okay. And then CD Lamb is obviously a beast, and adding Brandon Cooks next to him will help. But really, it starts with this defense. This defense is loaded on pretty much every level. Like, the front seven is just loaded. Like Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, that front seven was right up there with the Eagles and being like the top pass rushing defense last year. And they'll look to be doing that again. Secondary is also super good. But again, we know Dak's shortcomings. This is going to be a good regular season team. Not sure about the playoffs. What do you think, Matt?
So I think Dallas is good for three things: living in the past, choking in the playoffs, and that beautiful brisket.
Oh, yeah, that brisket.
Dallas has all the tools. They have the coach, they have the quarterback, they have the receivers, they got a solid running game, they have a good defense. For whatever reason, they can't get it done in the playoffs. And I think a lot of that actually relies on Dak. I think Dak plays really well until he's put in the biggest of moments, and then that's when he falls down. Like, if you look at their team, they have three really good wide receivers. They have a stacked offensive line, not like it was a handful of years ago or in the 90s, but still a stacked offensive line. They did lose Dalton Schultz, so they're a little light on tight end, but with the three receivers they got, they can get by with that. Running backs, look for Deuce Vaughn to get a big role in the offense. His dad works for the scouting department. He's ready to go. He's already embedded in this family. So Pollard and Vaughn are going to be a two-headed monster. Defensively, like you said, Justin, they are really, really good. Micah Parsons may be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. But that secondary, adding Stephon Gilmore, they just got that much better. But in this division, like, they have to go against the Eagles. They have to go against the Commanders' defense. The Giants' defense is meh, but we'll get to that in a minute. But this team, top to bottom, is solid. It's if they can get it done in the playoffs. That is a huge question mark.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think about? Oh, sorry, Chad, stepped on your toes.
No, my bad. Yeah, I mean, don't take it personally, Dallas. You know, I like he said. What's his name? Micah Parsons is a great defender. I think he's arguably one of the better in the game. They got Trayvon Diggs on defense. That offense should be on paper stacked. I just don't think they have what it takes to continue to win against a division that has the Giants and the Eagles in it.
The pressure's on for Big Mike and Dak. There's no excuses to not win in the playoffs this year.
Agreed.
Well, we move on from Dallas Cowboys talk about the New Jersey Giants. They are located in New Jersey.
What's up, jabronis?
Sticking with this, but Chad, go ahead. What do you think?
These dang jabronis in New York, man. What they did last year was amazing. They took a broken team and made it to the playoffs, baby. They almost took it all the way, too, didn't they? But in the offseason,
Playoff
they've
game.
added a bunch of weapons in the offseason, like Darren Waller, Paris Campbell, Jalen Hyatt, and look what else happened. Saquon got paid. Saquon's going to put on a fantastic season. I think this man's going to be healthy for once this whole entire season. I think this team's going to go deep. Their defense, I love their defense. Nothing to complain about. They're young, they're versatile. They get in and they get out.
Get in, get out.
Bang bang, what's the hang?
Bang bang.
Hey, I mean the offensive line.
It's hard.
It was atrocious a couple of years ago, and they've addressed it, and it's actually improved to be pretty solid. Still can work to get better. They got some young guys that can help make that happen. But if the offensive line keeps progressing, they're going to get more holes for Saquon big gaping holes for Saquon Barkley to run through.
Yeah.
And also the upgrades at receiver should be able to open that up a little bit more. They made it to the playoffs with a complete patchwork group of receivers last year. It was impressive they made it that far. Danny Dimes actually improved. We were bashing him in the show last year. I'm pretty sure we are not very kind to him, and he made a huge step in the right direction. I think because Dayball is a much better coach than Joe Judge was. Joe Judge sucked as a coach. I still have some concerns about the defense. They're very weak at linebacker. Thibodeau has to step up in order for them to get a pass rush because it wasn't great last year. And the secondary could still use a little work, but this team still is very much in playoff contention.
So, like you said, Daniel Jones, massive improvement last year. I think a lot of that comes down to coaching staff. Brian Daboll is a genius when it comes to working with quarterbacks. And one thing I didn't realize, Mike Kafka is the offense coordinator. So they got a little bit of brain in there for the offense. Wide receiver, they're a lot deeper than I actually thought. When we were going over the pre-show work, we took a look at the depth chart. They got Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodges, Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamison Crowder, and Cole Beasley. And don't forget about Khalil Pimpleton. Keep that pimple hand strong. And then the offensive line has gotten a lot better over the course of the past few years. They went out and got some bigger, meatier men so that they could just throw some blocks. So not the best offensive line in football, but they got a little bit going for them. And then adding Darren Waller can only improve your offense. Now there's a lot of options. Danny Dimes, not just Danny Dimes, he can actually run. We saw that actually over the course of his career so far. Don't think he's a bust like we originally thought. Giants are actually looking pretty smart for taking him back 2019, whenever it was. 2018, whenever it was. Defensively, they're stacked up front. But Justin, like you said, the secondary is kind of called into question. They did get Deontay Banks, and they have Xavier McKinney, Adoree Jackson. They're pretty solid there, but they're going to rely on their pass rush to make sure the quarterback doesn't see an open receiver downfield. Oh, and don't forget, they got Wink Martindale as their defensive coordinator. So look for the Giants to actually make the playoffs again.
Hey, they love the blitz.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the team that lost in the Super Bowl last year, the Philadelphia Eagles. Chad?
Man, I love me some cheesesteaks, boys. These Philadelphia Eagles, man, they're making another run this year. There's nothing stopping them. This might be the best defense we've seen in a long, long time. I know we always got to say this every year. This team this year they have the best defense. This team next year, but the Eagles went ahead and just cemented themselves as the best defense, in my opinion, this year with nothing but solid draft picks. They're putting that whole Georgia defense back together. Jalen Hurts, he's going for MVP this year, man. He's going to be running it. He's going to be throwing it. They're going to be celebrating in Philly. I'm just saying. I'm not saying they're going all the way, but Philly's looking dangerous. And not to mention they have weapons on every aspect of that field.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is a very good team. And let's take a moment to talk about these uniforms that they released. Their
Kelly
fans,
Green.
yeah, their fans waited in line, like camped out in front of the team store to buy these jerseys. They like them so much. I don't know many other fan bases that would do that. So that alone was impressive. But yeah, like you said, Jalen Hurts, he took a step last year and he was awesome. Definitely an MVP candidate. Rashad Penny might actually be an upgrade at running back over Miles Sanders, as long as he can stay
Let's
healthy.
talk about DeAndre Swift.
And then DeAndre Swift as
Penny
well.
might not get that many carries.
I'm curious to see how Swift looks. This is kind of his last chance because for whatever reason, things fell apart with the Lions for him. But yeah, he gets a chance behind an awesome offensive line. The offensive line is going to be really good again. They were the best in the league last year. So he'll get a good chance there to prove himself. Good receivers, as you mentioned. They've added so much talent on the defense. They lost quite a few vets because they just loaded up on them last year and kept adding them throughout the year. So we'll see if they keep doing that again. But yeah, they lost quite a few of them on the defense, but replace them with some young talent as well.
Right.
So Matt, what are your thoughts?
The only hole that I see on their team is wide receiver depth. But the two wide receivers they have are top 15 wide receivers.
Yeah, you don't.
They have vets, they have rookies, they have a healthy mix. And then every year for the past 3 years, they were like, oh, you want a defensive player? No, we're taking that defensive player. Oh, is he from Georgia? Yeah, we're definitely taking him. Jalen Hurts signed his new deal. They got new uniforms for what, three games this season.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 games.
If I will be thoroughly surprised if they don't make it back to the Super Bowl. It's a lot to get to the Super Bowl, but looking at their team, they're going to need either a lot of injuries or a lot of players just like, you know what, I got paid, I'm out, for them to not make the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, this.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, this is the NFC favorite to make the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like the NFC anymore, like the past couple years, I feel like is who's going to have the best defense, because that's really what it is in the NFC anymore. You know, back in the Legion of Boom Seahawks day, you know, they ran the whole NFC. I think you got to look at the 49ers, though. I mean, they got a nasty defense, but, you know, the Eagles on paper look like the nastiest defense I think I've seen in a long, long time.
Since at least the 2002 Buccaneers defense. I
wouldn't say specific teams, but they're pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's move on to the last team in this division here, the Washington Commanders. Chad?
The Commanders, the Redskins, the football team. What are they? No Dan
Can
Snyder.
They just be the Wild Hogs?
Yeah, I'm okay with Wild Hogs, Wolves, whatever you want to call it.
The Generals have them be all green and lose everything.
Let's get it set. Let's just get this all taken care of. I'm tired of this jumble of a team name, you know? Dan Snyder's gone. I really like the Commanders.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. The witch is dead.
The witch is dead. The witch is dead.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I really want the Commanders to do well. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win it all. I don't think they're going to win their division. But I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. I think they're going to upset somebody's party. I don't know. I think maybe they might have a guy in Sam Howell, especially with receivers like Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. I think they got some decent weapons out there.
Jahan Dotson as well.
Yeah.
Byron Pringle.
Oh yeah, they added him too.
Yeah, they got some speed.
Logan Thomas isn't terrible.
Yep,
he's a solid tight end.
Yeah, solid tight end. I think the big question is, what is Sam Howell? What is he going to be? Obviously, like the only time he played last year, he cooked the Dallas Cowboys in a completely meaningless Week 18 game that we were all forced to watch for no reason. But the offensive line should be okay. I don't know how it's gonna. It's not going to be able to hold up very well against the Eagles or the Cowboys in this division, but it can protect Howell decently otherwise. This defense, though, really carried the team last year. The defense was pretty solid.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at the roster, if they were in pretty much any other division in the NFC, you would say, you know what, they actually have kind of a shot. But the three teams in front of them, we all just said that they're all playoff teams.
We've been talking very good about these teams, which, by the way, this is a huge difference. So you watched our show a few years ago. We were bashing this division endlessly.
Top to
and
bottom.
All of a sudden, I mean, we're looking at a division here that could have 3 playoff teams. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and another one fighting for it. Like, the offense is literally going to come down to Sam Howell. How does he perform? He looked good throwing 157 yards and a touchdown in a meaningless game that they really didn't mean to pass the ball that much. I mean, Brian Robinson last year, he got shot and came back and then had like a ton of carries and for a ton of yards. I didn't look up exactly what he got, but they got Antonio Gibson behind him, so they still got a little bit of depth. A little bit.
They got Robinson to get the tough yards, and they got Gibson to kind of catch passes and maybe make an explosive play here and there.
I mean, and then their defense is stacked. Like they just went out and got a couple guys. Emmanuel Forbes looks like he's going to be one of the better corners from this draft. A lot of people were super high on him. But they got Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat. Like that is probably one of the best defensive lines I've seen on paper in a long time. They had that last year, but in the past few years. But Chase Young got hurt. Chase Young is in a contract year, so you know he's just going to eat.
Yeah, and I mean he's another year recovering from the torn ACL. Like even when he came back last year, he wasn't fully himself yet. So now watch for him to step up and be more like what we saw him early on in his career.
Come back. The only question mark I got is linebackers, but as long as they can cover and tackle, you don't really need like the best linebackers in the NFL. You just need someone who can just get in the way. You need a good secondary. Pretty much, though. I mean, like stand in the hole or stand right in the zone where the receiver is going to be. Like that's pretty much what linebackers are nowadays. But
just get in the way.
I don't think Sam Howell would be a terrible backup quarterback to Caleb Williams in the near future. So who knows,
But they do have Eric Bieniemy, who wants to prove himself outside of Andy Reid as offense coordinator, and they got Ron Rivera, who has proven himself to be a really good coach in this league. So they got, and I didn't realize they have Jack Del Rio as their defensive coordinator. So they got another good coaching staff. So look for the Washington Commanders or whatever the hell they're going to end up being. But shout out to Dan Snyder being out of here.
Goodbye.
This team could possibly make a complete 180 and then just go on a run. They need a new stadium so poop isn't falling from pipes and literally every player in the NFL has gotten hurt on that field. So look for new ownership to take that over. But man, Washington has some promise.
So happy to see somebody get $6 billion richer.
I know. And then he got fined immediately after.
Good.
I mean,
I was hoping it would be more, but oh well. Justin, let's go to the standings.
Bed, right?
What?
You make your own bed, right? You gotta sleep in.
Yeah, you do.
You're a scumbag. Everyone's gonna know.
Right.
Agreed. Okay, before we bash Snyder anymore, let's move on to our predictions. Matt, go ahead and walk through yours.
Eagles are the incumbent winners of this league. They're not going to finish second. I think this would be the first time in like 15 or 20 years that the same team won back-to-back years. I'm pretty sure they've all rotated in order for the past 15 years. So I got the Eagles winning it, Cowboys coming in a game behind them, Giants coming in and probably the last wild card spot just because they're getting beat up on by the Eagles and Cowboys and then randomly losing 1 or 2 to the Commanders. And then the Commanders, I think they have a shot to compete for the playoffs, but I think they're going to be looking at a top 12 pick.
Yeah, for me, I like the Cowboys defense a lot. I think the Cowboys are going to look very good in the regular season. And they have an easier schedule than the Eagles. You know, the Eagles have to play the Chiefs. So that's advantage Cowboys. I think they'll split the games against each other. That leaves the Cowboys first in the division. Now, I will clarify, I do think the Eagles will go further in the playoffs. I'm also playing to that trend where we haven't had a repeat winner in the NFC East. So somehow I find this way to happen. The Giants are very good, but they're still way behind the Cowboys and Eagles at this point. So got them third. And then Commanders, I mean, they look promising, but it's just hard to put them ahead of any of those top three.
Well, Justin, let's get one thing straight. The Eagles don't have to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs have to play the Eagles. Let's get that straight. That defense is going to win this division, probably put them in the Super Bowl. I'd be surprised if they weren't in it. You know, the New York Giants, Danny Dimes is going to have to be called Danny Quarters by the end of the season because he's going to slinging that thing everywhere. Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of aspects of the Cowboys to like, but I just don't think that they can stay healthy enough and to sustain a winning year. You know, I would love to see them do it again, bring back their '90s prime, but you know, I don't see it happening. And the Commanders, the lovable losers of this division, put them in the NFC South. Man, they'd probably win that division. I'd like to see them do well. I don't think they're, you know, they could potentially go and get the first overall pick, but you know, I think they'll do a little bit better than that. Hopefully they can turn it around now that Dan Snyder's gone.
Yeah, we've spoken pretty decently of them, and then we get to the standings and we all have them in dead last.
You got to be realistic, man. You got to be realistic. 1 year ain't enough to save you, you know?
Yeah.
And one
yeah,
game isn't enough to accurately assess Sam Howell. So,
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I look at this division and I look at the Cowboys. They're going to take 2 losses from that Eagles defense, although the Cowboys defense is wonderful. But I think that Eagles defense is going to be nastier. And the Giants, like I said, they've just grown so much. I just think they give the Cowboys probably 2 losses as well, if not 1.
yeah, I think it's actually going to be hard for any team to beat the Eagles in this division. I think Cowboys have the best chance only because of that defense. But if you match up position to position going all the way down, Eagles have the position groups that beat the Cowboys.
Right.
So, anything else you guys want to say about the NFC East?
No,
You guys
on.
finally
I didn't accidentally say NFC South like I did in the previews. We are good.
Hey, we turned
All
on
right.
the cameras and got it all down.
That has been the NFC East. We will catch you guys next time. We're out.
See ya.
See This is hard.